Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We continue with Arabic grammar, and the previous lesson we learned al-mu'rab wal-mabni, words that are changeable and words that are fixed. This is N002, and we continue with this lesson is that words that are changeable, what are the states that they are changeable to? So the only words that are changeable are some of the asma and some of the af'al. In fact, most of the asma, nearly all, and most of the af'al, nearly all of them, most of the verbs and most of the nouns, and all the rest that are in that category called asma. Asma is the plural of ism. So it says here, حالات الإعراب, states of grammatical analysis. So I'll just read this and I'll explain. The states of a grammatical analysis of changeable words are four. The asma have three states, and the present tense verb has three. The asma and present tense verbs have two states in common, and the asma has one that's unique, and the present tense one has one that's unique. So let's say we were to call the four states of the changeable words A, B, C, D. That's four, A, B, C, D. The asma has A, B, C, and the af'al has B, C, D. So the asma is unique in A and the af'al in D. So they share B and C, but one has A and the other one does not have that state, and the other one has D and it doesn't have that. So what are the four states to begin with? So the four states of a word are الرفع. الرفع. The original state, it's a state of a word, of the asma and the present tense verbs, the default state is with dhamma. الرفع. So we say the word is in a state of rafa. And that's the default state. Without some reason to change that state, the word remains in a state of rafa. For example, if you say kitabun, a word kitabun by itself, there's no reason to change it. But if you were to say هذا kitabun, it still remains marfu'. It's marfu', it's in a state of rafa. Rafa and marfu' means approximately the same thing. You will see the difference as time progresses. We say the state is rafa and the word itself is marfu' because it's the khabar, because it's the predicate of the sentence. But you learn that as time progresses, subject and predicate, what we call mubtada, al-mubtada wal-khabar. I know it's a lot I'm throwing at you, but just learn the lesson for today, and then they will compile and combine together as time progresses. So the default state of both the asma and the af'al al-mudari'ah, the present tense verbs. Remember, past tense verbs are mabniya. We call this al-af'al al-madiyah. Af'al al-amr, the command forms of the verbs, are also mabniya. So the only one that are mu'araba, af'al al-mudari'ah, the present tense verbs. And ba'd al-asma, and some of the asma. So the original state for those words is a rafa. The word is born in a state of rafa. And you need a reason to change it from rafa to the other state. Also, al-nasbu. So al-asma and al-af'al can be in a state of nasb. Nasb means that it has fatha at the end generally. Not always. There's a lot of details in this, but we'll just take the the most popular sign of that state and use that as an example. And I'll give you examples as we go along. I'm just explaining the rule here. So a word can be in the state of a rafa, either the present tense verb or the ism. Or the word can be in a state of nasb. which mean here it has a dhamma, generally speaking, most likely. Or it can be in a state of nasb, in which case it has a fatha, the ending. For example, I'll just state it now, but we'll give you examples as time go along. We'll say هذا كتاب. هذا means this. كتاب means book. That means this is a book. كتاب is in a state of rafa, and the sign of the rafa is the dhamma, the ending. كتاب, to tanween dhamma. Excuse me. If I say رأيت كتابا, I saw a book, I change the bun to ban because it's the object of the sentence, of the verb in the sentence. But you'll find out the reasons later. I just want to let you know that when it has the fatha, it's in a state of nasb. And then the asma are majrura. Only the asma. This is the one in which the asma is unique. The ism, only the ism can be majroor. The present tense verb is never majroor. So they share a rafa and a nasb. Both the asma and the af'al al-mudari'ah can be in a state of rafa or nasb. But only the asma can be in a state of jar, which means to have a kasra at the end. The kasra is the sign of jar, al-jarru. Now this cannot be explained in English, because what I meant, give you an example in English, because in English we don't change the word at the ending because of its position in the sentence. This is a book, we always write B-O-O-K. We don't write B-O-O-K-U, buku. And if it is, I saw the book, I saw the boka. We don't, it's still book. This is a book, I saw a book, I'm pointing to the book. It still remains book, B-O-O-K, B-O-O-K, B-O-O-K. But in Arabic, it would be B-O-O-K-U, B-O-O-K-A, B-O-O-K-I. Are you following me? The ending of the word. So we have kitabun, kitaban, and kitabin. Why did it change from rafa to nasb to jar? It's because of some grammatical rule. And we're going to give you long list of rules, and that's the whole purpose of grammar, is why did we change it? So it works both ways. For you to put the correct vowel, you need to know the rule. And when you see the vowel, you know what's the reason that caused it to change. So you know the position of the word in the sentence. Yeah. And al-jazmu means to have a sukoon at the ending. That's the sign of al-jazm. And the default state of jazm is sukoon. I said default, whereas because sometimes it would be other reasons are the sign, or other ways that it would become in a state of jazm. So going over that again, the four states of the words that are mu'rab, that are changeable, are ar-raf'u, which means to have a dhamma at the ending, an-nasbu, which means to have a fatha at the ending, al-jarru, which means to have a kasra at the ending, or al-jazmu, which means to have a sukoon at the ending. فَلِلْأَسْمَاءِ الرَّفْعُ وَالنَّصْبُ وَالْجَرُّ وَلَا جَزْمَ فِيهَا. The asma have three states, al-raf, al-nasb, and al-jar, and is never in a state of jazm. It's never majzoom. وَلِلْأَفْعَالِ الرَّفْعُ وَالنَّصْبُ. So both of them share. This is for the asma, the three states. See that? And this is for the af'al, al-raf'u wal-nasbu wal-jazm. They share a rafa, they share a nasb, but the asma, only the asma will be in a state of jar, have a kasra at the ending. And only the af'al will have a state of jazm, a sukoon at the ending. وَلَا جَرَّ فِيهَا. And the af'al, and we mean here al-af'al al-mudari'ah, the present tense verbs, will never be majroor, will never be in a state of jar. So that's quickly just naming them. The signs, oh boy, this is very extensive. This lesson, so the way these lessons work is that we'll explain them, but because they're, you need all the other background knowledge to understand, you'll have to come back. So this book, when you finish it and have all the pieces, then you'll go back and you'll find that lesson 1 would make more sense and lesson 2 would make more sense, because you now know lesson 19 and 35, or actually 34 is the most. Yeah. So I'll give you an example of علامات الرفع أربعة. The signs of رفع are four. The way we said the default state of رفع is ضمة. Sometimes the word is مرفوع with ضمة, or in a state of رفع with the ضمة, like الحمد. The way we will الحمد لله رب العالمين. This means praise belong to Allah, Lord of the worlds. Alhamdu, the word alhamdu has a dhamma at the ending. So we say the word alhamdu is in a state of rafa, or it's marfu', and the sign of the rafa is the dhamma. The sign that it's in a state of rafa or it's marfu' is that dhamma at the end. So we look at the word alhamdu and we say the word alhamdu is marfu' or in a state of rafa. Actually, because of a technicality, we would say it's marfu'. It's in a state of raf because of the dhamma, or the dhamma is the sign that it is marfu'. But sometimes a word is marfu', but there's no dhamma there as the sign. It's a waw. So sometimes the default sign for rafa is a dhamma. Sometimes it's a waw that make us know it's marfu'. Sometimes it's an alif. Sometimes it's a noon. So I'm going to explain here now, and you will understand the detail when we get there. This is a lesson you'll have to come back to when we go and do specific grammar rules. This is just laying the foundation. So you'll have to go back to this foundation. So we say here wa ulaika humul muflihun. وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. This is reading Quran. And this means, and they are the ones who are successful, al-muflihun. We say the word al-muflihun is marfu' in a state of rafa. And the sign that it's marfu' is that waw. It's not the dhamma and the ha. It's that waw here. Because this word sometimes will be al-muflihun and sometimes it will be al-muflihin. Al-muflihun and al-muflihin. Why is it al-muflihun? Because it's marfu'. So the sign here is waw. So the default sign is dhamma, but sometimes it's a waw. Just remember that. That's all you have to remember from this line in this lesson. Sometimes it's an alif. قَالَ رَجُلَانِ مِنَ الَّذِينَ يَخَافُونَ. And two men amongst those who are afraid said such and such. This is a part of the story of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. قَالَ رَجُلَانِ. رَجُلَانِ means two men. The singular is رَجُلٌ, one man, a single man. And رَجُلَانِ, two men. رَجُلَانِ is what we call fa'il. It's the doer of the action. It's the one they're the ones who are speaking. Qala means spoke. Rajulani is the fa'il. It's in a state of rafa. And the sign of rafa is that alif. Ani. See that? Because this word can be rajulani or rajulaini. This word itself, this is the dual form of a word. Can be rajulani or rajulaini. Here it's rajulani, it's marfu', or you can say in a state of raf, but technically you have to say marfu'. And the sign that it is marfu' is the alif, after that lam. How do we know that? Grammar rule, you'd learn that. A noon, sometimes the noon, we're referring to the noon at the ending of this word in specific, is the sign that this word is marfu'. فآخران يقومان مقامهما. فآخران يقومان مقامهما. And two others will stand in their place. This is a verse in Quran that's speaking about a person who is passing away while he is traveling, and we have people witness his will. His will would be documented, and these people would witness it. So here it says, and two others, yaqumani, mean they stand, and it's marfu'. And the sign of rafa is that noon. We say ithbatun noon, the existence of that noon. Because this word can be yaqumani or yaquma without the noon. Lam yaquma, lan yaquma. So the noon being there is the proof or the sign that it is marfu' or in a state of rafa. So we say the signs of rafa are four. علامات الرفع أربعة. The signs of rafa are four. Sometimes the dhamma, sometimes the waw, sometimes the alif, sometimes the noon. But the default is, generally most of the time, it is a dhamma. علامات النصب خمسة. The signs of nasb are five. علامات means signs, and nasbi, nasb. There's no translation for that because we don't have an equivalent in English. خمسة, five. Signs of nasb are five. الفتحة, الألف, الكسرة, الياء, حذف النون. The fatha, the alif, the kasra, the ya, and eliminating the noon. So we say a word is in a state of nasb or mansub. The original sign is a fatha. For example, in Quran, in Surah Al-Fatiha, the first chapter of Quran, we say, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. We normally stop with a sukun, but it has a fatha when it's written. اهدنا mean guide us. الصراط, we call it al-maf'ul al-thani, the second object of the verb, guide. Guide us is the first object. As-sirata is what we call the second object in Arabic. And al-mustaqima is an adjective describing as-sirata. Guide us, literally, the path, the straight. So the straight path. The word as-sirat means path. Did I change something there? Did I do? It should not be. That is not correct. Let me fix that there. It should be an alif. That was a hamza. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. We say the word as-sirata is in a state of nasb. Actually, technically, we should say mansub. But you can also say in a state of nasb. And the sign of the nasb is that fatha. That fatha on as-sirata, it's not as-siratu with a dhamma. We didn't say as-siratu. That's the original form. But why did we take away that dhamma and put a fatha instead? Because the word is the object of the verb. And the object of the verb would be in a state of nasb. For example, if you say, I ate the food, the action was done to the food, it's the object of the verb. So in Arabic, that puts it in a state of nasb, because the action was done to it. So based on the position of the word in the sentence, the state changes. And the sign here is the fatha. Sometimes it's the alif. Inna abana lafi dalalin mubin. Why is that little dot there? Inna abana lafi dalalin mubin. This means inna is indeed. Abana, our father. Lafi is in. Dalalin, astray. Mubin, clearly. We'll translate this. Indeed, our father is clearly astray. We will leave off the lafi. We really don't translate that when we translate in Arabic, because syntax for Arabic and English are different. Sometimes there are certain words we need in English to complete the sentence. For example, is. He is a boy. In Arabic, we don't use is. The syntax is different. Huwa waladun. There's no is. Yeah. And just like that, here we use the word lafi. But in English, when we translate, we really don't need it. Indeed, our father is clearly astray. Excuse me. This is part of a verse in Surah Yusuf, chapter 12, that is speaking about the brothers of Yusuf, Joseph, talking about their father. Huh? Because the father loved Joseph and his brother Benjamin more than the others. Yeah. So they said our father is clearly astray because he loved Joseph and his brother Benjamin, who was from a different mother than the other 10 brothers. Yeah, you know the story of the Bible, right? These 12 sons of Jacob are the roots of Bani Israel, the children of Israel, the Israelites, the children of Yaqub. Yaqub name was Israel. That's Jacob, the grandson of Prophet Abraham. You have Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. His children, his 12 sons, are the 12 tribes, or the fathers of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. They are the Israelites. Anyway, so they're the ones saying this. 10 of them. 10 of them are saying this about their father. They say, indeed, our father is clearly astray. And that's because of his excessive love for Yusuf and Benjamin, but specifically for Yusuf. Inna is an article, it's a harf, that when it's placed on the mubtada, it's in a state of nasb. And the word aba becomes mansub with an alif. That extra alif is put in there. The word originally is abun, means father, but when it's what we call mudafun ilay, when it's possessed and it's in a state of nasb, we use an alif. Inna abana. So we'll say the word aba is mansub, and the sign of nasb is that alif after the ba. See that? So it's in a state of nasb, but it's not a fatha. It's an alif. See that? Because there are 5 different signs of state of nasb. So I'm just laying them out here, and we'll actually learn them one by one, intricately. So all of these would be repeated in future lessons. I'm just laying them down there because we'll use them and access them when the time comes. Another sign of nasb is al-kasra. Inna al-muslimina wal-muslimati wal-mu'minina wal-mu'minati. The word al-muslimat, okay, this means indeed Muslim men and Muslim women, believing men and believing women. Because of the particle or harf inna placed on the mubtada, and this is ma'tufun ala al-mubtada, it's connected to the mubtada, the subject of the sentence. It's in a state of nasb, and feminine plural becomes in a state of nasb with kasra. Yeah. So we will say muslimatun, muslimatun. But here al-muslimati or wal-muslimati, because it's in a state of nasb and the sign of it is the kasra, the ending. I use the same ayah again, the same verse in the next one. The sign of nasb is the ya. So the word muslimin here is mansub also. It's in a state of nasb, but the sign is that ya here. And al-mu'minina, that ya here. Innal muslimina wal muslimati wal mu'minina wal mu'minati. Indeed, Muslim men and Muslim women, believing men and believing women. So the word al-muslimina is in a state of nasb. The word al-muslimat is in a state of nasb. This one is in a state of nasb and the sign is the ya, and this one is in a state of nasb and the sign is the kasra. That's a very interesting example combined together. Even though the two of them are in the same state, the sign that they're in that state is different. And it's because of the structure of the plural words. But you learn that in its own time. This is just to let you know that sometimes a word is in a state of nasb and the sign is a fatha, sometimes it's an alif, sometimes it's a kasr, sometimes it's a ya, sometimes it's eliminating the noon. And this is only with the af'al. Hadfun noon. Hadf mean to eliminate, eradicate, to remove, to wipe out. So the verse I use is فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا وَلَنْ تَفْعَلُوا فَاتَّقُوا النَّارَ. And if you never did, and you never will do, therefore beware of the fire. This verse is this is in Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2 of the Quran, and it's talking about the Quran being a miracle from God, and that if you think it's not a miracle, then write a surah like it. And if you cannot do it, or if you never did it and you will never be able to do it, then be aware of the fire. So this is talking that the Quran is the truth. That's what this verse is talking about. So it's in a state of nasb here. Whenever the word originally is taf'aluna. So let me just change that just for the sake of grammar. So the original state of this word is taf'aluna. That's how it's originally. But we say hadfun noon, eliminating the noon. We eliminated the noon because of the fact, let me go back here, do it this way. Because of the fact that the word lan was put in front of it. Lan means to negate something happening in the future ever. For example, ashrabul ma'a, I am drinking the water. Lan ashrab al ma'a, or let me use a more realistic example. Ashrabul khamra. Ashrabul khamra, I'm drinking alcohol or intoxicant. But if I want to say as a Muslim, I will never do it. I'll say lan ashrabal khamra, and I change ashraba, put it in a state of nasb because of lan. Excuse me. This verb, the plural verb, becomes in a state of nasb by eliminating the noon. But we would learn that in its own time. My only intention here, so that you don't get overwhelmed, is to let you know that there are 4 states of the words: raf, al-raf'u, al-nasbu, al-jarru, al-jazm. And the signs of them are, for a raf, sometimes dhamma, sometimes waw, sometimes alif, sometimes noon. For the nasb, the signs of the nasb are 5 different signs: al-fatha, al-alif, al-kasra, al-ya, and hadfun noon. Signs of al-jar. Now this is only the asma. Only the asma will be in a state of jar. With the state of a raf, this one here was verb. These are asma, these 3. And this is verb. These are all asma here, these first 4 examples. And this is verb. This is asma only. Only the asma will be in a state of jar. Remember we said that up here. We said walil asma al-raf'u wal-nasbu wal-jarru. And we said here about the verbs wala jarra fiha. The verbs are never in a state of jar. This is for the asma, can be in a state of jar. That's why I put it in the green. And al-af'al will never be in a state of jar. So now, as we're talking about the jar, there are 3 signs of jar. علامات الجر ثلاثة. The signs of al-jar or jar are 3. Al-kasratu wal-ya'u wal-fathatu. So a word becomes majrur in a state of jar mostly by having kasra. Let's use this example. There are 4 examples in this word. That's why I highlighted the whole thing. In the phrase Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. You ever heard this sentence? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This means in the name of Allah. Ar-Rahman, which means the merciful. And Ar-Rahim means the merciful also. But Ar-Rahim is the name that God gave himself because of his mercy in the entire creation, believers and otherwise. And Ar-Rahim is the name he gave himself because of his special mercy. grace towards the believers. You find the Muslims, we use the word mercy in place of a Christian using the word grace. So when you talk about the grace of God, you'll hear a Muslim wouldn't use grace, he would say mercy. But that's exactly what we're talking about, the grace of God. Anyway, so here, this word ism means name, it's in a state of jar, it's majroor, and the sign is that kasra. It's majroor because of that ba. This ba is actually a separate word. Ba means with or in. Ism means name. This is technically two words. The way this is originally written is like this. Bi is a word by itself. Ism is a word by itself. But because of its use so many times in Quran, it's joined together. And that alif is eliminated. This alif I'm referring to, this one here, is not written, it's eliminated. Anyway, so those are two separate words. The ba is a word, means in, bi. Ism means name. Allah means Allah. In, name of Allah. But of course in English we would say the name of Allah. So it's majroor with a kasra. It's in a state of jar because of, or the sign of it is that kasra. And the word Allah is also in a state of jar. It's majroor because of the kasra. But the reason is different. The reason here, we would learn the reasons later. All I want you to learn in this lesson is the sign, the kasra as being the sign of al-jar. Here, the meme has a kasra, mi, bismi. The word Allah has a kasra, Allahi. It's in a state of jar, and the sign is that kasra. The reason is different. The reason is because it's mudaf ilayh, because it's the possessor. The reason why it's in a state of jar is different. This one is because of is what we call harful jar, the preposition in front of it. This one is because it's the possessor. Muhammad's book. Muhammad is in a state of jar in Arabic. Muhammad's book. Because he owns the book, he's in a state of jar. Yeah. The word Ar-Rahman is also in a state of jar. The sign is that kasra at the ending. But this one is in a state of jar because it's what we call badal. And the same for the word Ar-Rahim. It's in a state of jar. And the sign is the kasra. And the reason is because it's badal. Badal means substitute. Yeah. And the badal is like al-mubaddal min. The substitute is like the one that it substitutes. It carries the same grammatical rule. So these are, now you're getting an insight into Arabic grammar, the subtleties, and it's plenty. But don't be intimidated by it, because I'm throwing a lot at you, but we'll be going over all of these meticulously, each one in its own time. This is just the only thing I want you to know here right now from this lesson, or this one line, is that sometimes a word is in a state of jar with the kasra at the ending. Like the word ismi, the word Allahi, Ar-Rahmani, Ar-Rahimi. Sometimes it's a ya. For example, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. The word Al-Alameen, this means praise be to Allah, Lord of the worlds. Surah Al-Fatiha. The word Al-Alameen is in a state of jar, and the sign that it's majroor is that ya. And the reason is a different thing. The reason is because it's also possessor. It's what we call mudafun ilayhi. But you learn that in its own time. It's called al-idafa, possession. Possession is a lesson of its own. Al-fathatu. Sometimes the word is majroor, and the sign of the jar is the fatha. Shahru Ramadan alladhi unzila fihi al-Qur'an. Qur'anu. Shahru Ramadan alladhi unzila fihi al-Qur'anu. This means the month of Ramadan is which the Quran was sent down in it. The way we would translate it in English is the month of Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was sent down. Ramadan is mudafun ilayh, shahru Ramadana. and it's in a state of jar, and the sign of jar, or it's majroor, and the sign of jar is the fatha. Normally it's a kasra, but here it's a fatha. Why? Because of a reason, because it's a name. The word Ramadan is what we call mamnu'a min al-sarf, but you learn that in its own time. So I gave you the signs of rafa are al-dhamma, al-waw, al-alif, al-noon. The signs of nasb, al-fatha, al-alif, al-kasra, al-ya, hadf al-noon, elimination of the noon. And the sign of jar, kasra, ya, and fatha. Okay. The signs of jazm. The signs of jazm, it's a little complex, but we'll just make it simple. Mostly it's sukoon. The word is majzoom, or in a state of jazm, and it will have a sukoon. Or it would be al-hadf. You will eliminate the ending, and what you eliminate varies at times. But all the eliminations on what is possible that you eliminate will be studied in its own time when we study jazm, or the reasons for jazm. These are the signs of jazm. The reasons is a big study in its own. Excuse me. So this verse here, or this ayah, says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. This means, indeed, those who disbelieve, it is the same to them. Whether you warn them or you do not warn them, they will not believe. The part that we want is the word tunzir. It's originally tunziru. That's the original form of this present tense verb, which means to warn. You warn. The word hum means them. But the word by itself, tunziru, means to warn. But because we put lam in front to negate something in the past, it made it in a state of jazm. It took away that dhamma and put a sukoon there. See that? It's because of this lam. This lam here has a special meaning. It means to negate something in the past. For example, I can safely say, lam ashrab al-khamra. I never drank khamr. Lam ashrab, I never drink, or never drunk actually in the past. We put a sukoon there. Why did I put a sukoon? Because it's majzoom. Why is it majzoom? Because of that lam. Yeah. Yeah. Hadf, meaning that you eliminate a part of the word or the ending. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ لَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. When it is said to them, do not cause mischief on the earth or in the lands. La here we call it la an-nahiya, which is to forbid someone from doing something. Allah is forbidding us from causing mischief. The word is originally tufsiduna. Tufsiduna. But that noon was eliminated because it's in a state of jazm, and the reason it's in a state of jazm is because of this la. We call it la an-nahiya, the la that forbids you from doing something. La mean do not here. And also alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil. Alam tara, the word tara is originally tara. There's this ya is really called an alif. It's called alif maqsura, but it was eliminated. Why it was eliminated? Because of the same lam. Because of lam that negates something in the past, it made it in a state of jazm, and that alif was eliminated. So let me summarize this very, very quickly. We say the states of Iaraab are four: al-raf'u, al-nasbu, al-jarru, al-jazmu. So some words are fixed and some words change. When the words change, it can change from raf to nasb to jar or jazm. The asma are the only ones that will be majroor, but both the asma and af'al share a raf'u and a nasb. And the af'al are the only one that will be majzoom. What are the signs of a raf? We have four: al-dhamma, al-waw, al-alif, al-noon. What are the signs of a nasb? Al-fatha, al-alif, al-kasratu, al-ya. and حذف النون, the elimination of the noon. What are the signs of jar? Al-kasratu, al-ya'u, al-fatha. What are the signs of jazm? Al-sukun and al-hadf. So that briefly is حالات الإعراب, the states of the words at the ending when they change. It's complicated, but that is the actual object and subject of grammar. And all that we will learn in details. So this is a quick summary of pretty much what to expect. Consider it a brief roadmap, and we'll stop here.